Hi, I'm Sophie and I'm going to share some of my favourite recipes with you. Since childhood I've always been a chocolate girl. My mum suggested I become a pastry chef, so I trained in London and then I've been working as a pastry chef ever since. In my 10 years I've worked all over the place doing loads of different things, in patisseries, in chocolate shops, in Michelin star restaurants, made wedding cakes, worked in local bakeries, and now I'm in recipe development. When I'm coming up with new recipes I'm really inspired by other chefs. I also get a lot of inspiration from what's in season, and then really I just experiment with different flavours until I find something that works. I'm going to be making a chocolate and hazelnut postal cake, so I'm going to start with the sponge. I'm going to just hydrate my cocoa powder with a little bit of water, just enough that it doesn't dry the sponge out, but not so much water that it affects the texture. So I'm just going to mix those together until there's no lumps, and then set it aside until we're ready for it. Now I'm going to combine our butter and oil, our sugar and roasted hazelnuts, and our egg in the blender. And I'm going to blend this until the hazelnuts are completely broken down and the mixture is really smooth. Now I'm going to add my flour and baking powder and give it another blend until that's all incorporated. I'm going to weigh half of the mixture into our hydrated cocoa powder mixture and then put the other half in a bowl. The combination of the butter and the oil with the nuts makes this a really nice moist sponge, so it stays fresh for quite a few days, which makes it perfect for sending someone as a gift in the post. I'm going to mix the sponge through with the cocoa powder, and then I'm just going to pour alternate dollops of hazelnut cake and chocolate cake mix into my tin, which I've lined with some baking paper. You don't need to be precise, just 1 dollop of each until you run out of batter. And then before I bake it, I'm just going to put a tiny strip of butter in the middle, and this just ensures that the crack is totally in the middle and it's not cracking all over the place and going to be really lopsided once it's baked. This is ready to bake, and I'm going to bake it at 170 for 45 minutes. Once the cake's baked and cooled, we can glaze it. I'm using a mixture of 823 milk chocolate and 811 dark chocolate. I'm going to temper my mixture of chocolates, so I'm just going to add in my oil and my roasted chopped hazelnuts. And the oil just means that we've got a more liquid chocolate. I'm just going to grab the cake and dunk it in the glaze. I'll just let the excess glaze pour off. And then I'm going to leave it to set on some parchment paper for about 5 minutes. Now the glaze on the base is set, I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of the glaze all over the cake. I'm going to transfer it onto a clean piece of baking parchment and then leave it to set. Now the cake's completely set, we're going to wrap it ready to post. So I'm going to wrap it in this biodegradable cellophane and then tie a nice ribbon on it so it's all pretty. So this is the chocolate hazelnut postal cake all wrapped up, and then I'm just going to put it in its box, and that's ready to get posted with a little bit more packaging on top. There's really been an increase in demand for postal cakes, so it's really good to have something like this where you can just package it up, send it, and it reaches the customer in a really nice condition.